Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge des Direct to Talent Podcast. Heute befinde ich mich bei T-Systems in Bonn und bin mit Zsuzsa Friedl verabredet. Zsuzsa kommt gebürtig aus Ungarn und ist hier bei T-Systems für über 25.000 Menschen als CHRO verantwortlich. Eine beeindruckende Karriere, die vor vielen, vielen Jahren im HR begann, und trotzdem merken wir, HR ist im Wandel. Ich will mit ihr insbesondere über das Thema KI sprechen. Welchen Einfluss hat es auf die bestehende Mitarbeiterlandschaft? Wie möchte sie Menschen weiterentwickeln, in neue Rollen reinbringen? Wie sieht sie auch eine Veränderung in der verschiedenen Landschaft von Produkten, Mitarbeitern in den einzelnen Ländern? Wir sprechen darüber, was braucht es heutzutage, um tatsächlich Karriere im HR zu machen, und ganz wichtig, welche Daten sind für Sie entscheidend, um zu beurteilen, haben wir in den einzelnen Ländern Erfolg, ja oder nein? Als besonderer Teaser, das Gespräch wird heute auf Englisch sein, deswegen bleibt dran, die Folge beginnt. Auf geht's!
Zsuzsa Friedl, thank you so much for having us and welcome to the Direct to Talent podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course, we're here in Bonn, not your hometown, as I found out. Where are you originally from?
Originally, I'm from Hungary, from Budapest.
Okay, and how did you make the long way from Hungary, Budapest to Bonn? What is the story behind it?
Yeah, the story behind that, I'm in HR already for 26 years. So I'm not calling myself as an HR veteran, but soon to be, I would say. I was based in Hungary, in Budapest. Originally, I'm from an even smaller city in Hungary.
Okay.
And my previous role was within Deutsche Telekom, CHRO of Magyar Telekom, so the Hungarian telco company. And after 7 years, I had the pleasure to be promoted to be the CHRO of T-Systems International, based in Bonn and everywhere in the world. But my hometown, I would say, it's here in Bonn now.
Okay. Well, it's a beautiful city, in my opinion, so that's more than okay. How long have you been CHRO at T-Systems then at all?
I joined T-Systems, or I moved to T-Systems last year in January. So I would say that 19 months. Yeah, 19 months.
Okay. So for sure you have seen a lot. I mean, in your whole 20 years, more than 20 years of experience in HR, but now, of course, also at T-Systems. When I usually talk to CHROs, often the story begins with, I started by studying law, and then I moved into HR. Mm-hmm. Is your story the same?
My story that I always wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
So when I was a child, and I wanted to be a teacher, and I had really good teachers, and probably that was, a good role model, and then I wanted to be a teacher. And then somehow I got to know during my studies that there's something about foreign trade. Uh-huh. And then foreign trade, so something around commercial, something around numbers. So then I joined the University of Economics in Hungary, and I studied foreign trade. So I became, at the end, an economist, not a teacher, but an economist. And during my studies, I learned at that time we had no HR management or something like that. But I learned in a student organization that there is this profession called HR. And then I realized that this is something which is quite close to being a teacher. Uh-huh. And so then right after my studies, so after graduation, I applied for my first HR job. Okay. And then I knew that I have to be.
This is when you fell in love with the job description per se.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which is good because, being an economist and also having the teacher in the teacher mindset in the background, I always say that being an HR professional, it's a good combination because you need to be good understanding and talking to people, but also really good with numbers. So that's why HR is a good combination.
Would you say that, you have seen a lot of HR professionals through your career. Would you say that this numbers part is usually the one where most HR professionals kind of push it away as much as possible and say HR is more culture, it's gut feeling, it's to make people feel great at a company, but not really based on hard numbers?
Well, I worked always for big companies, really big ones, General Electric, Microsoft, and Deutsche Telekom. And these companies are famous about taking HR very seriously. And it's not a topic of whether HR is sitting at the table or not. And if the HR has a strong strategic role in a company, then I think none of the HR professionals can say that I'm not interested in numbers, I'm not interested in hard facts, only the soft part. And I think, let's be honest, HR also has some reputation from the past, I think mixed reputation.
How would you define this past reputation?
Yeah, it's really mixed. I would say that it's mixed. That how the reputation of HR evolved during the last decades. I would say. Now I see that, especially during the last few years, when we had big crises and critical moments, and in many cases, in many companies, HR had a crucial role in that, whether it's a transformation or a really big crisis, then HR became really crucial in those moments. Then I would say that the reputation is getting better and better. And now when I see that how leaders are relying on HR advice and HR coaching, then I would say that now we are in a good track.
If I look at your international career, focus always on, let's say, bigger companies, would you say that the importance or the way employees look at HR varies a lot from country to country? Is Germany an exception, or does it line in well with other countries?
Definitely, the cultural differences are playing a critical role in every topic. But I would say that it's even more important that how the company itself, especially if it's a multinational company across many countries, that how the company defines that how we work within the company, how people can ask advice from HR, or how HR defines the different people-related processes. So it's much more relevant than the country specifics. Obviously, we have to take into consideration, and there are really differences that, when I go to Hungary, to my home country, where I still have a couple of thousands of people within these systems, or when I go to Slovakia or India or here in Germany, and I often host different roundtable discussions or sessions with young people or sessions with leaders, then I can see the difference. But in the core, it matters that how the company, the big company, defines the culture, for example.
What do you think employees expect from HR nowadays?
At this moment, there are many, but what I would say, especially in our industry, so telco and IT industry, one of the most important to understand how they can develop themselves. That's one of the most critical. That what can you do, dear HR? What can you do for me that I can keep the pace, and then I can develop myself? So the skilling related.
Right.
Plus, we should mention that also the job security.
Okay.
That's relevant in each and every country.
You see an increase about job security in the past 2 to 3 years?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Especially, again, in our industry, telco and IT tech, when we see clearly that how technology can change many things, then definitely job security and uncertainty about different changes.
Do you see, regarding the first point, in terms of how can I develop myself, my skills, do you see a difference in the age groups? Is it more kind of a phenomenon with, let's say, Gen Z, younger generation that are very thirsty, thriving for development, or would you say it's through all different groups?
Here I can tell you the experience from different part of the business. In T-Systems International, the skill set, so the skilling of the people, I usually say that this is our bread and butter.
Right.
If our people are not skilling themselves, then sooner or later they will feel that they are not on the relevant projects, they are not on the not even the interesting, but really the projects what we are running with our customers. So in these systems, I don't see that difference between the different age clusters. But I can say that in a more traditional, so not a tech-related industry, we can definitely see that the more senior generation, especially when it comes to new techniques and let's be honest, I mean, we try to figure out all the new way and new formats, how we can teach and skill the people. And it's overwhelming, coming from all the different angles and different portals and different content. So they are overwhelmed and we need to help them that how they can navigate in that.
But it's always, is it for you more a push or a pull subject? Especially with such a large organization. I mean, we're talking here more than 25,000 employees. Just in HR, you told me more than 450 people worldwide. I will get to that in a second because my question is also how you handle that amount of people in terms of a management experience. But in many small companies, you say, okay, we provide. Other companies say we expect our employees to pull a lot for knowledge and for career paths. And where do you want to develop? What is your opinion on that?
I really believe that the secret to create a very strong baseline of learning culture. If you don't have a strong learning culture, what does it mean? You have a good platform, you have good content, but you need to have the openness from the people, the mindset that they are ready to learn. And you don't have to push all the time that they have to learn, you have to learn. And you create the framework, dedicated learning hour or anything, because that's the typical issue that they say that, okay, I would be happy to learn, but when? I don't have the time to learn. And once you can create all the framework around that, and that can create a very, very strong learning culture in the company, then you don't have to push all the time. We had the experience here in T-Systems at the beginning of the year, and I'm super honest about that we pushed the stop button for a few months.
In terms of?
In terms of skilling.
Okay.
In terms of skilling, because we had to review the portfolio, we had to simplify, focus, because as we just discussed earlier, that it was overwhelming. And we had to focus, we had to understand what brings value. And so that was a cleaning phase, let me say that. And people were complaining, really, really complaining that, what about the courses? What about the skilling? On one side, it was a really good feeling that, okay, they really need it. On the other side, we had to understand that when we do something like that, a change, then we really handle it carefully. But at the end, to me, the positive message was that we don't really have to push because they are already open, they need, they want.
You think that AI is kind of working as a motivator or as a threat for the people because they start to think, is my job secure in terms of will it actually still exist in 2 to 3 years?
Last week, we had a session with some talents. It's a really small, very focused program. And we invited someone who is leading a huge AI and data team to give some inspiration and some background to the talents about that how the AI AI-driven future will look like. And that was a really interesting moment when the leader shared with us that still the biggest fear when it comes to the people's mind, then what about my job?
Always.
And it's equally interesting that is it possible to keep the whole speed of evolution. Is it possible that I'm able to learn so fast? So these two fears are coming together, that what about my job, and am I good? Am I strong enough? Am I smart enough to learn continuously? So these are the two fears.
Okay. Do you see some kind of changes in the skills, qualifications that, for instance, T-Systems were looking for 2, 3, 5 years ago, and how it has changed compared to right now? We hear from some other companies that in IT there's such a big change going on, especially with developers. 5 years ago everybody needed developers, and now we see an all-time drop, at least in Germany, for the demand for these talents. Do you see similarities?
Yes, I mean, definitely it's something that changed quite significantly in the last 2 years. A couple of years ago, T-Systems started 10,000 future skills project, meaning that our employees should get 10,000 new certificates during 2 or 3 years, which was successful, and they did it. So obviously we analyzed that what kind of certifications they achieved. And if you look at that, okay, what's the need now? Then some of them are already outdated. Let's be honest.
Right, it's crazy, yeah.
And then we need some new one. And every time we bother the leaders that, okay, what's the new future skill? What's the new future skill? And I think this is one of the most difficult discussion with the leaders, because it's really difficult also for them to.
How should they know?
Exactly.
So at the end, do they know?
I would say that there's a strong guess, and I think we have to make some brave decisions.
Right.
How we upskill and reskill our people. I mean, right now, if I say that reskilling in terms of SAP, for example, that's not a bold decision. I mean, we need the skill set. AI, the same, that we need. In our case, the cloud is absolutely a hot topic at this moment. Sovereignty, it's also, I mean, it's a very, very hot topic for us. So with these, definitely we can't make a bad decision.
Okay. So theoretically, you're in charge of 25 or more than 25,000 people's well-being, their cultural identity and everything that belongs to it. You travel a lot for sure. Your day has 24 hours just as mine. How often do you feel overwhelmed? Is a mean word, but I mean it in the sense of how much structure and clarity do you need in your day-to-day to really focus on what matters?
I mean, definitely the first 6 months, that was really, then I can use the word overwhelming. So that was really difficult. At the beginning, I mentioned that I'm from Hungary. My family is still in Hungary. So in the complexity, it comes into the picture that I'm balancing between that I want to be with the family, but I also have a complex business environment as well. Practically, the key to have a very strong HR team. So I have a very strong direct team, direct HR MC, and with the help of this team, I can cover the entire 25,000 employees across all the different countries. We have strong HR VPs in the countries. So each and every country has a very strong, and we have many new HR VPs who joined us recently. So there was a bit renewal also of the team. So I rely on them. My approach that with the travel also, that it depends on the actual priorities as well. So for example, in October, beginning of October, I will be back to India, where we have 4,000 employees. So this is after Germany. This is becoming the second biggest location for us. And obviously lots of leaders, quite big HR team also locally. So then I go to India, spending a few days in India. We have a full packed agenda.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to it, because last time when I was there, it was just to get to know each other phase.
Is it possible on your level to have both a fantastic career and also being present at home and to take care of your family?
You know, what is my answer for that? That my husband used to do the same what I do now, and he never got the same question.
That's very, very sad.
He never got the same question. So we used to manage a dual career family. He was also, I mean, he retired in the meantime, but he was managing a very similar career in another big company. But he never had that question. But
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, because it's still obvious that male leaders, they can handle, because they have a strong background at home. And when you are talking to a female leader, then you have, it's an unconscious bias, you have immediately the question in your mind, and you want to, which is to me absolutely okay, and I quite often share, and I'm very open to talk about how to balance between private life and business life, also to show and be a role model for the younger generation, where they are still struggling, whether it's possible or not. So I really try to encourage the young talents that it's possible. So it's possible. I have two kids, two daughters, 19 and 15 years old. The 19 years, she's already in Spain, so that creates another complexity in her life, but that's possible.
I think the only way you can enforce change is by asking everybody the same question. That's what I always think. And I think that especially when I talk to CHROs, it's amazing to see how many female leaders you have. And in fact, they do balance and they do manage. And I think this is exactly why also I'm here and talking to you about the subject. Would you say that it was always planned from your perspective to have such a career? Or was it a lot of also coincidence that happened to bring you here?
No coincidence in my life. So I'm a big planner.
Everything happens for a reason?
Everything happens for a reason. I can really say that when I take a job, then I'm thinking that, okay, and what's next?
Okay.
Because, and that's the same advice to anyone, and also to our talents, and also when I'm doing an interview. So when I'm in a selection process and I'm on the side to make a hiring decision, then I always look at the person in front of me that, okay, now we are talking about a certain job, but what's next? What's the potential? What's the ambition?
So you kind of always vision the next step based on the one you have in that moment.
Exactly.
Okay, so you did like kind of do the vision also becoming the CHRO?
I mean, I always wanted to be a leader. That was obvious to me during my studies, that I have some quite strong leadership skills. So I knew that. And I think quite early you can see that if somehow you are mastering a certain leadership skill set. And very easily at the early stage of my career, it was clear to me. And that's why I went on different talent programs and leadership development programs. To me, it was also obvious to be part of a big company. So that was always something very important to me, being part of a bigger organization. And yeah, I mean, how I was planning my portfolio, then it was planned.
Okay. Do you feel like, because you have a lot of young leaders here who also want to make a career, who look up to you, and they ask you probably the same question, how can I achieve this? Do you see some kind of change in people's behavior when it comes to making careers nowadays? Do you see the same hunger inside people? Why are you smiling?
That's a very difficult question.
That's what I'm asking.
No, that's a very difficult question. And
what do you think?
I really try not to be a grandma complaining and recalling. Okay, that when I was a young HR professional, how I did and what I did. So we have to admit that also the need for a much more balanced life, that's more important now than it was 25 years ago. And I think we have to respect that. I see that there are big differences also in the young generation, and I have to respect. I have a 19-year-old daughter who is a mini-me. She's a mini-me. So with her, I have nothing that I have to understand or accept or something, because she's copying
You see yourself.
me and I see myself. She has the same work ethics. She has the same ambition. So it's easy, I would say, and it's easy to coach her also. But I think that during the years, I also learned that we have to respect. And then maybe another family example, my brother, I have a much younger brother, 13 years younger than me. So somehow I'm also coaching him many times. He also works in HR. And he had wonderful opportunities at the very early stage of his career. And he rejected because his daughter was just born. And
but that speaks very high of him.
Yes, and but at the very, very first discussion, I did not understand him. I did not understand.
Because you saw the chance.
Exactly. And I taught him, but seriously, you got a wonderful opportunity. Why? And then he explained that, listen, I want to be there when my daughter, she's just a young, small kid, and I want to be there with her. So
I think I need your brother as my next podcast guest and ask him the same questions I asked you.
Yeah, what do you think about your sister?
After seeing this, he will be only positive, I'm sure. But do you think that this is something people are lacking the motivation for it, or because of, I understand, right? There are different priorities and some are very good and intentionally. But do you think it's more a motivational issue, that people don't see the big picture of a career?
No. Not motivational issue. It's much more lack of role models. I think this is what I also see, or if I can say that the wrong role models. I'm happy to say, I'm not happy, but I can say that.
But you mean more like influencers nowadays?
Exactly. Okay. But probably the wrong role models. And that's why I really believe that within a company, we really have to show role models. That's why I'm pushing and promoting mentoring within the company. That's one of the most amazing tools, I think, what we can use, that find a good mentor. And then what I see, that the lack of purpose, the lack of something what drives them. And probably this is when you say lack of motivation, then to me it's lack of purpose. And again, a parenting example, that I really believe that one of my most important roles as a mother, that I show different opportunities.
Okay.
And then it's up to her which she can pick. And that's the same within the company, that when it comes to career opportunities, then my role to show all the opportunities. That's why I'm pushing the internal mobility, the internal move. When I joined, it was 30%, the internal mobility ratio.
Is this for you a good or a bad number?
The 30%, I mean, it depends on, I worked for companies where it was 15%, so even less. So I would say that 30% it's not bad, an average number. That means that you have 10 open roles, then 3 roles you fill in with internal talent. And I think in our world now, especially in this continuous skilling environment, we are ready to really push the internal mobility much higher than the 30%. So right now we are above 50%, and the ambition, the 70% here in T-Systems. So out of 10 roles, 7 with internal talents.
Because you see the potential behind it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a very strong internal talent pool, very, very strong. Last year, we hired 2,500 people globally.
Okay. Which are the biggest growing markets?
The growing
you mentioned India.
The growing market is definitely India. Okay. So this is
in Europe?
higher. And then in Europe, basically 3 locations: Hungary, Slovakia, and Spain.
Okay, Germany?
Germany, less in terms of hiring. So compared to the previous years, then it's a decreasing.
Is it more to find the right skills? Is that an issue, or is it more that people? I won't give you the answer. What is it?
The strategy behind the location is also, if we look at the benchmark, that how these companies like these ICT companies are working like us, then out of the 25,000 people we have at this moment, we have right now 8,000 in Germany with all the different subsidiaries. And this is not the same how the other benchmark companies are doing. So we have an ambition to change the workforce mix because that's also something which is value for our customers. And that means that we look at that, okay, then what's the required skill set in Germany? I mean, we have lots of customers so we need people in customer-facing roles. And there are many skill set and roles what we can easily do from nearshore and offshore.
So if you have to be diplomatic, I can break it down as the host, but in the end, it's about finding the right skills to also a salary package that fits the market.
I can be also very straightforward with that definitely the compensation and the workforce cost, that's important.
You see a mismatch in Germany?
Mismatch
in terms of skills and the salary packages?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't see that. That's the German market. So we continuously check also that how we are comparing ourselves to the benchmark, but I don't see that. We see, especially in certain skills, very, very strong skill set and happy to hire, also happy to rehire. Those are the best moments for me when we rehire someone, the boomerang employees.
If you look at Germany, we just see challenges. And we see a lot of industries where some might even say that are dying industries. And so to say, do the skills from 10, 20 years ago still fit to a company like T-Systems and their requirements, especially looking at AI?
Yeah.
But I assume your answer is they are there. You just also need to be ready to develop in that segment.
And again, let me go back to the skilling topic. Also in our portfolio, there are areas where we have a significantly decreasing demand. In the automotive industry, we see that. But at the same time, there are growth industries. So what do? Then we look at those people who used to work on those projects with that skill set, which is not so much in demand anymore, and we reskill them. And that's the way. And here again, let me bring the mindset topic. That here I see some gap. That there's I don't say that a low willingness, but a moderate willingness to change. And this is what I experience in many countries, so not only in Germany, but many countries, that how our people, they cope with the change, that's becoming more and more difficult. And this is where leaders, they really need to step in and help.
You think it's a leader topic or an intrinsic motivation mainly or primarily from people?
I think the leaders, they have a huge role in the change management.
That for me, it's kind of then super hard to find leaders who are willing to do this. Or the skills from leaders, are they still the same from today as they were 10, 20 years ago?
Definitely changed. I just opened a leadership conference virtually today morning, and I was talking a lot about change management and the role of the leader. And I also shared with them that I don't believe that there's one size fits all leadership style, not even for one person, but they need to change, they need to adjust their style, their techniques, their leadership techniques, given to the certain situation, certain business challenge, or certain employee or person. And right now, I really believe that each and every leader had to become a change agent. They have to master that how the change can impact the teams, the individuals. They have to master that what kind of techniques, tools they have, how they can handle. In many cases, it's communication. So then obviously then we talk that, okay, how good our leaders are, how good they are in communication.
I want to talk to you about one thing, and that is kind of going hand in hand with leaders, is how do you make success measurable? And you mentioned this at the beginning. When it's about HR, it's not about feeling, it's about making it tangible. What are the KPIs that really matter for you as a CHRO from T-Systems?
Wow, I mean, tons of metrics, but let's just talk about that, why it matters and how do we measure the success. Obviously, I had many discussions in my HR journey when I got the feedback from the leaders I worked with that, wow, Zsuzsa, given the fact that you are HR, you have so many numbers in your presentation.
Who said that?
Believe me, many leaders, many. So again, going back, that was the reputation of HR. Then somehow that was also the reputation that HR can't handle numbers and we don't have measurable impact. That time is over. Especially all the HR people I work with, they already learned many years ago that one of the best thing how we can highlight that what are the issues, what are the challenges, then if we can support with numbers and with facts. So I mean, this is already business as usual, that whatever we can, we track and we measure. That's also a trap, I think, in HR, that we have so many dashboards and already a dashboard for the dashboards to understand that which dashboard is showing what.
But you for sure have like the top 3 KPIs where you're like, you look at them to know, are we on track, yes or no?
Yeah, so then let me tell you that what do I look at this moment. So we were talking about workforce and workforce mix. So definitely this is every month when we call it machine room. When my team prepares the machine room, then this is one of the first that I check, that how are we progressing with our workforce mix, FTE, so headcount numbers in the different locations, so exit and entry and the overall turnover. So this is what I check first. Then the second, how are we progressing with our performance dialogues? For this year, this is one of the biggest team that we reignite the overall performance culture in the company. We have an existing process, but we need a culture around that, and that's why I'm checking that how we are progressing with the performance dialogues across all the different countries, all the different teams. So,
which country are the most happiest with right now?
Hungary.
I say that's a wrap. It doesn't get better than that.
Hungary is the number one at this moment. They are, I think, 97% of the people. They have a performance dialogue also recorded in our tool. And right now I'm struggling with Brazil. So, but now I hope that now we have a good action plan how to make it happen. So performance dialogues, because I really believe, and we really believe that each and every employee, they should have a performance dialogue. They should have a continuous discussion with the leader. So that's why I'm checking also the performance dialogue. And the third one is the skilling. So we have many different metrics, how we are progressing with the skilling. Typically, we have, let's say, 3 or 4 critical learning journeys, what we are tracking. And then I check that how we are progressing.
And Germany overall?
Germany overall, in terms of the different metrics, Germany is a complex country in our structure because it's not one team. So all the other countries, it's easier to track. But Germany overall, what I really like that, and it's quite close to the Hungarian mentality, that if we have the rules, then we have the discipline, and then we follow.
Right.
So then, for example, right now we are rolling out a really good performance management training program for all the leaders, and we are inviting them. It's a one-day program. It's a big investment from our side. But it's good to see that already 800 leaders participated, and most of them from Germany.
Okay.
And now we are rolling out outside of Germany.
Then let's hope that Germany can be number one too, saying this, of course, from a very local perspective. There's so many more questions I have, but I think we will do a follow-up. Maybe we include your brother then in it too.
Our whole family could do a full HR podcast with
your
my
daughter
husband.
also, I mean, 100%. Well, Zsuzsa, thank you so much for all the insights, your great answers, and for taking the time, and especially for having us here today in your office in Bonn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.